My name is Alon Shemesh, and I have the honor of serving as the president of the Jewish Federation of St. Joseph Valley. The events of October 7 have changed lives of people who live in Israel. A lot of you guys have come over to Bob and Omer and myself, other Israeli people in the community, with questions about what's going on in Israel, the situation, current event. And even though we try to provide you with some information, it's not very easy because we're not there. It's hard to give you a true perspective of what's going on. So yesterday, I had the pleasure of meeting with members of the delegation from the partnership together. And so I would like to introduce to you, they're sitting out over here, Noah Tene, David Vaknin, and Oren Lavi. All of them reside in the area of northern Israel called the Western Galilee. Most of you have some familiarity with the events that are taking place in southern Israel, right around the Gaza Strip. But as you will hear today, the situation in northern Israel has become unbearable. Today, you will hear from Nora, David, and Oren about the personal perspective of how the war with the Hezbollah in northern Israel has affected their lives. On behalf of the Jewish Federation, I would like to extend our thanks to former shlichim who have written eulogies for the ceremony, including Nitzan, Leah Lehavi, Reut Oz, and Karim Wasserman. It means so much to us that although so many years have passed since you were here as shlichim, shlichot, you're still a part of the community. We also want to send our condolences to the families of the fallen soldiers. And I want to say something in Hebrew. None of the people in the room over here can really feel the pain of what you guys are going through. All we can say is thank you. Thank you for the sacrifice. That's pretty much it. Our hearts are with you. Thank you so much. And I'd like to call Omer Karavani to take over.
I want to say thank you first for our amazing team here in the Federation. I appreciate you guys so much. And I want to say thank you for all of you that arrived today. 2 weeks ago, we commemorated Holocaust Memorial Day, which is a reminder of the price we need to pay for not having Israel. Today, we are commemorating Israel Memorial Day for the fallen, which is a reminder of the price we must pay to have a Jewish state. In the movie Interstellar, an astronaut leaves Earth to save humanity. In parting from his daughter, who understandably isn't ready for him to leave, and she asks him to stay, he replies with the following sentence: "Now, we're just here to be memories for our kids. Once you are a parent, you are the ghost of your children's future." This means only the memories and how you made your kids feel in those memories will stay with them. For a lot of families in Israel, the situation will be the opposite. The children will be those who are trapped in the memories of their parents. And we know that a father burying his son, that's not the way of the world. But the world keeps on spinning. And although we cannot stop the rotation of the world, we can, even only for a moment, stop our everyday lives to express gratitude to those who paid the ultimate price, and for those who need to deal with that price, the price we must pay for our independence. Orphans who will grow up without a father or a mother who can only watch them from above. Widows who plan their lives with their loved ones, but will never have the chance to see them again. Parents with a room filled with smiling picture of the child who will never come back. Heroes who left us too early. According to tradition in Israel, on the eve of Yom HaAtzmaut, 12 Israelis are honored to light torches in recognition of their contribution to the state of Israel. With the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas, we have chosen to honor those who gave their lives for the state of Israel, including both soldiers and civilians. We thank former emissaries for the eulogies they have written and the members of the delegation. Today, we also honored to welcome the families of the fallen who are watching via live stream from Israel. תודה שאתם איתנו, אנחנו משתתפים בצערכם. I invite David Vaknin to honor the memory of Lieutenant Colonel Alim Abdallah.
I will talk about Lieutenant Colonel Alim Abdallah, a friend, commander, and a Druze man who was killed in action on the northern border with Lebanon on October 9th. 7 months have passed, yet his absence is noticeable in the Brigade 300. As our commander, he always exemplified leadership, courage, and unwavering dedication to our country and to our mission. On the day he was killed, he battled terrorists trying to infiltrate into Israel. He fought like a lion, without fear, giving us confidence. We stopped the terrorists, but not before they killed him first. Thought our time together was brief. His example as my commander has left lasting impact. His dedication to duty and the welfare of his soldiers was evident in every decision he made. I'm grateful for the guidance he provided and the trust he placed in me. His legacy of service and courage will continue to inspire us as we carry on in his absence. I pray that he rest in peace. We will always be honored and revere his memory. Thank you.
I invite Yehuda Seligson to honor the memory of Staff Sergeant Shai Arvas.
Staff Sergeant Shai Arvas, a soldier in the Goutin Infantry Brigade, fell in battle on October 31st when his armored vehicle was hit by a rocket. He was 20 years old when he died. The principal of his high school said of him, "For 2 years, he devoted his time to keep company to a Holocaust survivor every week, always giving his best. He volunteered for various activities while pursuing his studies in the prestigious biomedicine program. He excelled both academically and socially. His loss is profoundly painful." Before serving in the Army, Shai volunteered for a gap year program called Follow Me. He was recognized as an outstanding candidate for helping underprivileged families. Shai dreamed of becoming a pastry chef, and he used to bake cakes for his friends in school and for his Army unit. In the Army, he was always first to volunteer and help out without complaining, and he always had a big smile on his face. May his memory be for a blessing.
I invite Alon Shemesh to honor the memory of Lior Arzi with a eulogy written by Reutos.
As Omer said, the eulogy is for Sergeant Lior Arzi, written by Reut Oz, who was one of the shlichot over here. Sergeant Lior Arzi was born and raised in Kibbutz Givat Haim Yud, a son of Orit and Lior, a brother for 3 sisters, Muran, Sivan, and Neta, and a life partner to his girlfriend Maya. Lior was a natural leader. He was quietly and powerfully inspiring to everyone around him with his trademark shy smile. In high school, he attended biology and computer science and was a youth instructor in the kibbutzim. Following his graduation from high school, he proceeded to Shnat Shirut, it's a gap year, to live in mixed groups of secular and religious. When he finished his gap year, he volunteered to be a combat medic in November of 2017, when he started a combat course in the elite Air Force unit Shaldad. When he finished the course, he was chosen to be the unit's combat paramedic. During his long service, Lior participated in many special operations in unknown places. Lior was a creative entrepreneur striving for excellence, a humble, sensitive, loving, and caring person. With a heart of gold, great sense of humor, and a beautiful smile, his commanders say that he is a great soldier with a person like no other. Lior planned to start his medical studies in March of 2024. Sergeant Lior Arzi fell in battle in Gaza in November 3rd. He was 25 years old. May his memory be a blessing. Yehי zechu baruch.
I invite Elisheva Lerman to honor the memory of Sergeant Shai Garmai.
In loving memory of Sergeant Shai Garmai, a brave and a dedicated border police officer who made the ultimate sacrifice while serving her country. Shai unwavering patriotism and love for Israel were evident through her life. Even at young age, Shai expressed her deep commitment to protect her homeland. In high school, she shared with her friend her aspiration to give her life for her country, if necessary. Tragically, her word became reality when she was killed by the terrorist road explosion during anti-terrorism operation in January 7th. Shai's devoted to Israel extended beyond her duty as a border police officer. Her parents discovered that Shai regularly visited a Holocaust survivor once a week during her high school and continued to do so when she was off duty. This act of kindness and compassion and empathy demonstrate her profound understanding of the importance connecting with those who had endured ultimate hardship. Shai, born and raised in Carmel, she grew up as the only girl in a family of 3 brothers. While she may have been a princess in her family eye, she was also a warrior and a strong, open-minded woman. Her determination to continue serving a border police officer for many years to come was unwavering. She genuinely enjoyed her job, and so it has her duty to protect and serve her fellow citizens. The tragic incident that took Shai's life was claimed by a Palestinian terrorist from Jenin Brigade of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Despite the danger she faced, Shai insisted of being part of the operation. Even knowing the risk involved, her courage and selflessness in the face of adversity were remarkable. Shai's parents, Shlomi and Vered Garmai, started their journey to Eretz Israel through Sudan with my extended family member Salaman. They made Aliyah in 1982 and chose to settle in North Israel city of Carmel. They raised an incredible daughter who embodied the value of love of her country, dedication, and compassion. Shai's memory will forever be cherished by her family, friend, and all those who were touched by her remarkable spirit. Sergeant Shai will be remembered as a true hero, shining example of patriotism and a symbol of strength and bravery. Her sacrifice and commitment to Israel will continue to inspire generations to come. May her memory rest in peace, and may her memory be blessing to us all. Yehi zichra baruch.
I invite Deena Abram to honor the memory of Lieutenant Yonatan Goutin.
Lieutenant Yonatan Goutin, age 20, a signals officer in the multi-domain unit, was killed while rescuing civilians on Kibbutz Be'eri on October 7th, 2023. Goutin leaves behind parents and a sister. Goutin grew up in Modi'in. He grew up practicing judo and became a national champion in the youth division and a member of the youth national team. His coach said he had the possibility of becoming an outstanding athlete in the Army, but he chose to be in combat as a soldier. Goutin served in the multi-domain unit, also known as the Ghost Unit, established in 2020 to incorporate a wide range of capabilities from various branches of the military. They were given a mission to join and assist a force of paratroopers, which had suffered heavy losses in a rescue mission of the residents of Kibbutz Be'eri. A woman whose daughter was close friends with Goutin and knew his family wrote on Facebook that he grew up in an endlessly loving home, a home that sanctified life. She said Yonatan's father eulogized him and recounted how when he gave him a ride down south on October 7th, he told him, "Don't be a hero." But Yonatan couldn't not be a hero. Just before his death, he saved a family. The heart really cannot contain the pain. May his memory be for a blessing.
I invite Bob Feferman to honor the memory of Lieutenant Colonel Salaman Habaka.
Lieutenant Colonel Salaman Habaka was an Israeli military officer who was killed in action on November 2nd during the war. Born into a Druze family, he joined the Armor Corps of the Israel Defense Forces in 2009 and was subsequently appointed commander of the 53rd Battalion, 188th Armored Brigade. During the war, he became known for his actions on October 7th at Kibbutz Be'eri. He was one of the first soldiers to arrive in the area as the scope of Hamas incursion was becoming known. He had traveled with 2 tanks and a number of his soldiers to join a paratrooper unit already at the kibbutz. On November 2nd, he was killed in action fighting in Gaza. Salman was a member of the Druze minority from Yanuch. In the years of his life, Salman had time to build his house, get married, and start a family. Salman was a loving family man and very active individual in society who always contributed to the community. He left behind his parents, 3 brothers and 2 sisters, and a wife and a 2-year-old baby. May his memory be for a blessing.
I invite Cristyne Porile to honor the memory of Inbar Haiman with a eulogy from Nitzan.
Inbar Haiman of blessed memory was an artist from a young age and majored in cinema in high school. She served in the IDF as an outstanding and beloved combat commander in the Karakal Regiment. After a long trip to the east, she moved to Haifa and began her studies in the Department of Visual Communication. She was a writer, a jewelry designer, and a graphic artist. In the graffiti world, she was known by the nickname Pink, which according to her is related to her favorite color, with the addition of a question mark tattooed on her leg. On Sukkot, she took part in an artist festival in Haifa, which turned out to be her last days of freedom. At the end of the vacation, before the start of her final year, Inbar chose to volunteer as a helper at the Nova Music Festival in Kibbutz Be'eri and provided help to people who were in medical or mental distress. When the Hamas terrorists arrived at the scene, Inbar tried to escape, but was kidnapped by armed motorcyclists who appeared unexpectedly. On Friday, December 15th, 2023, 70 days after her abduction, the most terrible news was received that Inbar had been murdered on October 7th. As of now, her body is still held by Hamas. Inbar will always be remembered by many for her kind and brave heart. May her memory be for a blessing. Take that, please.
I invite Oren Lavi to honor the memory of Lidor Levi and Nitzan Rahum.
Hello. Lidor Levi, my cousin, and his fiancée Nitzan Rahum were murdered in the October 7 attack in a shelter next to Kibbutz Rahum. Lidor, the only son of his parents, was a 21 years old young man who chose to live in Israel. Lidor was born in Israel, but after only 1 year, his family immigrated to Australia, where he grew up and received a timeless Jewish education. He was quite shy and pleasant guy who decided to return to Israel and serve in the army. His parents, David and Gita, who were very attached to their only son, did not leave him and returned with him to Israel. Lidor enlisted in the Israeli Defense Force as a combat soldier. After a short time in the army, he met his fiancée Nitzan, with whom he shared his life in Israel and with whom he chose to build a home. They were a lovely couple who chose to marry after they found out that Nitzan was in her 5th month of her pregnancy. In October 7, they chose to go to the Nova Music Festival in the south, where the terrorists ambushed them. They hid in the shelter when the terrorists threw many grenades inside. Lidor kicked out several grenades, but one exploded, and Nitzan was killed. Lidor ran outside to escape from the terrorists, who shot him in the back during the escape attempt. Lidor was very brave, and he did everything he could to save his life and the life of his fiancée. Unfortunately, he paid with his life. May their memories be with us forever.
I invite Mara Boettcher to honor the memory of Yaniv Sarudi.
Yaniv Cerruti worked in the Nova Music Festival in the day of October 7th. When the terrorists began their massacre, Yaniv was able to run to his car. He then decided that he needed to do whatever he could to save others' lives. He came back with his car to pick up 8 strangers. While he was driving, the group ran into 4 different terrorist groups that shot at Yaniv. But even with the bullets hitting him, he continued to drive and took the 8 passengers to safe haven. He was taken to the hospital, but the doctors couldn't save him, and he died from his wounds. His mother eulogized him in his funeral and said, and I quote, "Our hero, you exhibited bravery against terrorists who showed up in masses. You fought, and instead of fleeing to save yourself, you collected your beloved Sivan and another 8 people, and you flew. You got them to a safe place, and you paid the ultimate price," end quote. Yaniv saved life in his last moments, but the doctors couldn't save his. He died as a hero. May his memory be for a blessing.
Okay.
I invite Noatene to honor the memory of Tamar Kedem Simantov and her family.
Tamar Kedem Simantov was born in Jerusalem and came to Kibbutz Nir Oz, less than 2 miles from the Gaza Strip, with her husband, Jonathan. She was an entrepreneur, an artist, an educator, and a visionary. After years of establishing educational and social projects, Tamar decided to run for the presidency of the local regional council when she was only 35 years old. She was leading the polls, and the future seemed happy and meaningful. The local election were to be held on October 30. Tamar believed in working for the common good. On October 7, Tamar woke up in her home in Nir Oz, along with her husband, their 3 children, and John's mother. Tamar, Hamas terrorists brutally murdered all of them. An entire family was instantly wiped out. Tamar's dream was cut short, but her spirit and path will continue to inspire her friends and family. Tamar had an idea to create a council of people in each area of the region. She wanted to connect people and do good, and for those reasons, I chose to commemorate her. May the memory be for a blessing. Yehi Zichram Baruch.
I invite Mike Hirsch to honor the memory of Ilan Moshe Yaakov with a eulogy written by Corinne Wasserman.
As Omer mentioned, this was written by our former shlicha, Corinne Wasserman. Corinne wrote this in the first person, so I'll read it in the first person in her name. Ilan Moshe Yaakov was a former classmate of mine at the University of Haifa. In the IDF, he served as a combat soldier and had dedicated himself to helping at-risk youth in Tel Aviv. On October 7th, he attended the Nova Music Party and went missing for 6 days until his body was found. I have fond memories of Elon and his wonderful sense of humor in our classes. He always tried to convince our instructors to take it easy on us and give fewer assignments. And thanks to his great charm, he often succeeded. I often shared my notes with him to help him study for exams, and he was always so grateful. During the massive rocket attack at 6:30 on the morning of October 7th, Elon said, quote, "Israel, I love you despite everything," close quote. These were his last recorded words before his death. Elon simply wanted to enjoy life and do good. Instead, he and 364 other young adults were brutally murdered at the music festival. May his memory be for a blessing.
I invite Megan Yu to honor the memory of Major Aryeh Ziering with a eulogy written by Leah Lavi.
Major Aryeh Ziering was born in Jerusalem on September 24th, 1996, to American immigrants Mark and Deborah. He grew up in Ra'anana with his siblings Eli, Yonatan, and Tal. From childhood, Aryeh was an exceptional athlete. He loved basketball, baseball, and soccer. And as a child, Aryeh spent his summers in Maine, visiting family, and developed a special passion for the Red Sox and the Celtics. His leadership journey started as a counselor at Camp Stone in Pennsylvania, and later on in the IDF. Aryeh served in the Oketz Canine Unit within the Attack Dogs Company, specializing in counter-terror special operations. After his mandatory service, Aryeh chose an uncommon path. After becoming an NCO, he later attended officers training. Returning to Oketz, he trained new soldiers and eventually led his cherished special ops team. Despite plans to be discharged and go on to be an emissary, he had planned to be a shaliach. Aryeh extended his service to command a company, notably leading the Attack Dogs Company. Tragically, on October 7th, in the battle near Kibbutz Zikim, Aryeh was fatally wounded while aiding wounded comrades. He was 27 years old. Aryeh will be remembered for his humility, kindness, and dedication to others, embodying the values of a true leader. May his memory be for a blessing. I'd also like to add, when Leah was sharing this story of this beautiful person, I really felt like I got to know him. And she also said that people say a person dies twice, first when they physically die, and second time when people don't speak of them in the future or further. May we honor all of these brave and beautiful people that we learned about today and keep them living by sharing their stories and memories.
Thank you. We're not forgetting our hostages. So I invite Rabbi Friedland and Dave Rabich to read a prayer for the hostages. Wait, let's start. Yeah.
יהי רצון מלפני אבינו שבשמיים, אשר הוציא את עמו ישראל מתחת סבלות מצרים. הוא יברך וינצור את אחינו ואחיותינו החטופים האסורים בחבלי ברזל, יחזק נפשם ואמונתם, ישמרם מכל נגע ומחלה, יחמול על בניו ובנותיו המצפים לשועתו, יבטל מעליהם כל גזירות אכזריות, בחסדו הגדול יחיש פדותם, ויצאו מהרה מאפלה לאורה, מבור השביל לחירות עולם, וישובו לשלום אל משפחותיהם ואל בתיהם, אנא נטע אחווה, שלום ורעות בלב כולם, הסר קינה ושנאת חינם, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ונזכה בקרוב לומר לפניך שירה חדשה.
May it be the will of our Father in heaven, who brought his people Israel out from suffering in Egypt, that he bless and save our abducted brothers and sisters bound with iron chains. May he strengthen their souls with faith, protect them from all harm and disease, have mercy on his sons and daughters awaiting his salvation, nullify all cruel decrees against them. In his great kindness, may he hasten their redemption, and may they quickly emerge from darkness to light, and from the pit of captivity to the freedom of the world, and return in peace to their families and to their homes. Please plant brotherhood, peace, and friendship in the hearts of all. Remove envy, baseless hatred, and spread over us the sukkah of your peace. And may we merit to soon sing before you a new song.
We just finished with the Yom Zikaron ceremony, and we're going to move on for Yom Ha'atzmaut. But before that, I want to say, why do we celebrate Independence Day right after Memorial Day? Even in Israel, we do that. How can we transition from anguish and sorrow to hope and pride? Simply put, it's not simple. But we need to remember for whom our nation stands. That is why we mark it so closely. We don't forget those who fell. We don't overlook them. We bring them with us to mark this Independence Day. Because we understand that they are a part of this building. That is also thanks to them, we have a homeland. Thanks to people who believed in the greater goal. Thanks to people who never stopped dreaming of a home for the Jewish people. Home is not just walls and a roof with rafters. Home is safe haven. It's the realization of our ancestors' dream of 2,000 years. It's the same home that builds the connection between our people around the world. The connection that causes an ache in your heart when you hear about a soldier who fell, even if you never knew him. It's the shared destiny that we all experience as one people, even if we're spread around the world. It's the tear that fell on your cheek on October 7th, but it's also the hug we received as a community from one another the day afterward. It's the sense of duty of 300,000 individuals, Israelis and non-Israelis, enlisted in the IDF the day after the massacre. It's being part of a community that the eyes and mind can grasp, but the heart certainly can. And when this home is threatened and this connection is in danger, we will fight for it. We will fight for those who have sacrificed for the establishment and continuity of our homeland. We will fight for those who have dreamed of a safe place for 2,000 years. But most importantly, we will fight for future generations so they won't have to suffer and dream of a safe place anymore. 3,000 years old, 76 years young. Happy birthday, Israel. So we are going to start with a question. David, you live in Lerman. Please tell us a little bit about the place.
Well, as I said before, Lerman is a village, a moshav. It's situated not far from the beach. I think you can see it. You see in area. If you'll take 2 fingers up on the beach, there is a moshav Lerman. It's a very, very quiet place, surrounded with nature, situated about 1 mile or a bit less than 1 mile from the Lebanese border. It's a beautiful place for kids to grow, to play, and who loves nature. It's there all around.
So David, I'll continue with you for a sec. Tell us about your factory. What drives you to take part in building such a thing? What are you doing a lot? Please explain us.
Yes. Well, I've spent 11 years of my life in Italy, where I worked as a journalist. I tested motorcycles and sport cars for magazines, some of them Americans also. And while doing so, I was exposed to composite materials. On sport cars, you made from it most of the car is made of, for example, from the Ferrari, Lamborghini. Most of the car is built from that material. And I immediately understood the potential of making from it airplanes parts, drone parts. In the health environment, it's also used. And I decided and understood this is what I want to do. So when I came to Israel, back to Israel after 11 years, this is the first thing I did. I arrived to Israel on the end of July 2010. The 1st or 2nd of August the same year, I opened the business. And since then, working and growing and contributing to, in my way, to the Israeli security and IDF abilities to perform.
Okay, thank you. Oren, please tell us a little bit about your life in the kibbutz. What kibbutz is? Some of them doesn't know what kibbutz is, and what was the feeling of living in one?
Okay, I live in kibbutz Adamit. It's a small kibbutz. We are only 100 families there. But this is he has a very important job that is safety border between Israel and Lebanon. And the life there is very pastoralic because we are 500 meters high above the Western Galilee. And we can see from my house, I can see all the area until Haifa. It's 40 kilometers distance. So if you can look at the map, it's over the line upstairs, the border till Haifa. It's the view from my house. So usually it's very pastoralic and quiet. I lived there almost 12 years, me and my family, until October 7, actually October 8, because we immediately leave our home at October 8 in the morning, because first of all, in 7 on October, we were very afraid to leave the house because we wouldn't know what will happen, what will develop. So we stay in the safe place, our house. But at 6 in the morning, we took 48 hours clothes and bags, and we leave the house like this behind. And we are still outside. It's almost 8 months until now. We leave everything behind. Friends, memories, pictures. This is the situation.
Thank you, Oren. I have another question for you. In your day-to-day life, like your job, you worked, still working with the Nukhba and Hamas terrorists. How does it feel like? Please tell us.
I explained to these dear people that sitting here with me in my job, in my work, and work in the Israel prison service. So almost 25 years. And we kept the security of Israel. We kept all the terrorists into our jails in Israel. And I am an officer there. I manage a section for Nukhba's terrorists that arrived after October 7. And then suddenly you find yourself with a family that outside their house, with a country under trauma after October 7, and suddenly you see those people in front of your eyes. And this is the point that you need to stay professional. So this we deal it with this. We don't have another way to deal with this. Just to stay professional, do our job, keep this horrible terrorists around the bars, and we will hope that it's coming soon.
So you or your colleagues didn't have any hard to distinguish between terrorists that came before or after, because you knew what those people did, specific things. I mean, they're not just like random terrorists.
I think that are very unique as Israelis, as Jews, as professional officers, that we must do the separation. Because if I come to my job with a lot of motion, it's not good. Okay. But and also my friends think like this.
Thank you, Oren. Noah.
Hi.
You live in Nesamim. Tell us about the place a little bit.
First, I would say that all three of us live in the same regional council called Mate Asher. Mate Asher held 32 villages and kibbutzim, and also 2 Arab villages, and we all are together in the same council. Nesamim is a small, unique village, multicultural village. We call it a community village. So we live together, Jewish and non-Jewish, in our village, and share our life together. And Nesamim is southern to Nahariya a bit. So fortunately, we didn't need to evacuate.
I have a question for the three of you. I would like to any of you to answer, whoever wants to ask. All of you have kids, okay? And my question is, after October 7th, after you guys being evacuated, is there any change in education wise? I mean, did the kids try to test their boundaries more? They try to do more things that are in your regular life you wouldn't allow them, but because of the situation, you are okay, that's fine, he's dealing with something that's not a normal situation. That's my question.
I will start as so on October 7th, we were home, and Gilad, my husband, got called from the army for his reserve service, and immediately after 2 hours, he was already gone out to his service, and we didn't know then, but for the past 5 months later on, he was in his day-to-day job. He's a botanist, but on this Saturday, he immediately became a commander, a soldier, and he was doing his service in Hebron area for 5 months. So immediately I became in charge of everything. It was very scary because we didn't know exactly what's going on. The feeling was that same what's going on in South can immediately happen in the North too. So last thing I told him before he went out of the house is, take care of yourself, please, but first close the window of the shelter room because it's heavy, and I couldn't do it. And just after he went out of the house, I told the kids, okay, we're gonna have a slumber party at the shelter room. The kids were staying and sleeping together in the shelter for 52 days till the first ceasefire. And I was staying with them till the first time coming home, which was after 2.5 weeks. And then we moved to sleep in the living room, which is close by. You need to understand, from our area, if there's a siren, we have 30 seconds to get into the shelter. When I'm alone with the kids, we're sleeping, our bedrooms are at the second floor, the shelter is in the first floor. So for me to get up with the kids at night, to get them down the stairs and into the shelter for 30 seconds is like mission impossible. So that was one of the things. So if you have to ask about boundaries, sleeping together, trying to make fun of it, it's weird to say it, but we didn't want the kids to know. I'm not hearing news at home. We didn't want the kids to know anything. Of course they feel, but yeah, so I was staying with the kids in this situation. And if you want to tell.
Or
Well, the 7th of October was a quiet Saturday morning. I was still in bed. On 7 o'clock in the morning, I got a phone call and I see the military number on the screen of the phone. I couldn't imagine it's going from 0 to 100 in that phone call. But when I heard from the other side of the phone, my commander telling me, gear up, I understood something big is happening. Went to the TV, turned it on, and saw what's happening in the south. From there, going to my kids, waking them up and telling them, take a few things, put it in the bag, and be ready near the door. Going to the room, sleeping room, waking up my girlfriend with the same thing. We are in war. Get up. We are going. Well, I believe that for the kids, it was hard as it was for us. For me as an adult, as a combat soldier, we are trained to make that switch immediately in order to be able to act, to put for a short time the emotions on the side. The kids doesn't. Although you see that they are scary and confused, they continue to listen and to do whatever they ask to do. I sent them to my parents with my girlfriend, and before I kissed them for goodbye, I looked at them because I didn't know if and when it will be the next time I'll see them. The next time I saw them was 2 months after. 2 months during which I barely spoke to them. And you can understand Kfir is 10 years old, Sagi is 18, but still, they need father. They need father to be near them when they pass a hard situation like this, that they are away from home, away from friends, away from family, school, and environment. You know, you're taking them out of Lerman, which was evacuated, and put them away later also in school. But it's starting everything from zero. With emotions, with everything. But yeah, they're strong.
I have a following question. So you have 2 kids, 18 and 10. My question is, are you telling them the same thing? Are you hiding something from the 10 years old, something that you tell to the 18 one? Also, he's in the military right now or before the military?
Well, first of all, they know to which unit I belong.
Mhm.
They know plus minus what I supposed to do when things like this happen. They don't know anything more. When the phone is off and they can talk to me, they turn on the TV and sometimes they can imagine where I am or what I do, but nothing more than that. They're not.
So you're not differentiating between because of the age?
No, I don't think they are mature enough to. I don't want to expose them to things I have to be exposed to.
And Another question.
I will answer the second question you asked. Well, Sagi is 18, she's a military age. In a few months, she'll finish the school. And she's going for a year gap year. It's a mechina, military preparation, in which she's going to study leadership, Jewish history more than what we know, Judaism, and Tzionut, and all of this in order to make a significant military service for those 2 years that are waiting for her.
You saw any change of her willing to join the IDF, either more or less?
Yeah, more.
More?
I see it on all of the kids. All of the kids, Israel right now is focused on one thing, and you can see it from Kfir that is 10 years old to my parents, and everybody is concentrated in one thing. I think we just sang the Tikva, and the last 2 lines, I think, reflect exactly what we all are concentrated in, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, to be free in our country. And this is what holds everybody, what everybody is pointed to, and we don't see anything else but this objective. And I can see it from my daughter, and I can see it from my son. Well, my son doesn't think about military yet, but my daughter is concentrated, and it pushes her even more to contribute, to do it better, to be better.
Amazing. Oren, please answer.
If I continue David's words, I just felt that we have the same kids because we have the same purpose. My kids, I have 3 kids. I have 2 daughters and 1 son. The biggest one, her name is Omer. She's 22 years old. She just finished the army. She was a fighter in the Navy, in the Israeli Navy. And the second one is Ori. Her name is Ori. She is 18 years old, and she is also go now to the army in the next November. And just now, before I came into this hall, she sent me a message, a text message that wrote, "Dad, I'm glad I go to be a combat fighter. The army got me to this job, and I'm very happy." In the end, she said me, "Yes." Yeah. So yes, so this is the youth in Israel. This is our kids. You ask about education, about pressure on them. Look, when we waking up in October 7, it was suddenly, okay? So no one accepted because it was a holiday. It was Simchat Torah, and we just slept at home and quietly and peaceful. Suddenly, everything is began. And when I wake up, because my phone got crazy, because the alarm alert in my phone, I wake up my wife and I told her, her name is Tal. I told her, Tal, wake up, now it's begin. And the first sentence that she told me, oh wow, now it's the south, but I know that from Lebanon it's harder and stronger. So let's get ready. And then we go out and take on the TV, and start to see the pictures from the south, and it was awful. And the kids arrived, they saw us from up, because we have 2 stairs at home. And they come and join us, and you suddenly saw the kids, how responsibility they have for our family, for our United. They immediately say to us, let's go from here. Dad, Mom, let's go from here, don't stay here. We want to leave the place now. And I, because I was maybe naive, I said, don't worry, the army will arrive. Don't worry, we are here, the army is here, everything's okay. Well, nothing changed. But my daughter, the biggest one, she was a fighter, as I said. She told me, no, that from the Lebanon, she was intelligence in the Navy. From Lebanon, it's harder and very, very bad. But I won't listen to her because I trust the army. And we stayed at home that night. She took woods and put on the windows and be stressed. So I told them, let's go and take a suitcase and organize few clothes, be relaxed. If something will happen, we leave from you. And day after we evacuate from our home, as I said, and we go to 2 months for a hotel. 2 months in hotel, it's in the first week is nice, hotel, food, all this. But after 1-2 weeks, it's become harder. So we spent 2 months there. After 2 months, we go to rent a small apartment, I think maybe 45 square meters, like this corner. And we live there 3 persons until now. But this is Israel. This is our reality. We want to change it, but we don't know what's going to be tomorrow. Every hour we got the message in the phone that something else happened. And our kids are with us. My kids, the younger changed school. He's a ninth grade. He left the school that he was studying in the north. Now we were living around Afula, if you know, it's the Israel Valley. And so it's far, it's 50 kilometers from the border. So now he has a new friends, new class, new teacher. Everything is new. Also my daughter, the middle one, she still study at Kabri's school. Kabri is near Nahariya because she is the 12th grade. And now she needs to finish the school. So she can't left. So go and back to her sister home. So why I say this sister home? Because her grown one, my grown up daughter, she rent a new house in Haifa. So to make the road short for Ori, she lived with Omer at her home. So from one family, we separate for 3 houses. From one house, we separate for 3 houses. And this is the situation. But when I look at you here, and I look at my family, and I look at my friends, and I look at the Israeli state behind us, I trust in God, and I trust our united together. And it's very happy to me to be here with you. You give me a lot of power to continue to be there in the front with the terrorists, in the front with Lebanon, in the front with all of what's going on now in Israel. And it's very important to me to tell you that in front of you, because it's not. Never mind.
It's not.
It's not obvious. It's not obvious for us. So from here, I just want to say thank you.
No, my next question is to you. Those 2 gentlemen are heroes. I'm not even doubt that. You guys went to, you guys doing war. Well, I'll talk about that later. I want the audience to understand that even though they're going to war, they're heroes, okay? The wife statue regarding the family unit changed drastically. Many women need to stay home because their husbands at war. And you specifically, or other women that their husbands went to war, function as 2 parents. How do you do that? Is it hard? And more importantly, are the kids aware that you doing it and it's hard? Are they giving you a hard time? Are they saying, "Oh, mom is having a hard time. Let's be nicer to mom"?
Well, so the women here will help me. Well, to be a mother, even though your husband is at home, sometimes, well, No, but I think that the main thing was to understand in these moments that I'm alone, that I need to take care of them, what is usually happen, but that I need to take care of us to be safe in a dangerous situation that we are not really know what it is. And also to be worried and anxious about Elad, who's gone away, who we don't exactly understand what is going on. And after a few days, I realized, and I texted him that I told him, I need to be here, I need to be a mother, I need to take care of the kids, I need to do my job, my work. You need to be there, you need to be a soldier right now and do your thing. And I think that in this moment, I realized that we're splitting out for this time because it's too hard for him to be worried about what's going on home. And it's hard for me to be worried about what's going on with him. So each one of us had his mission or her mission for this time. I can tell you that the kids were great. They understood immediately that we are alone and they need to be helpful. Elad was doing reserve service every couple of years. So it was not new for us that he is going away but it was for a month and it was for drills. It's not something like this real as it happens. And also when a war situation is in Israel, his unit's supposed to be one of the latest to be called. And when he was called immediately, we understood that situation is really bad, really not good. So it was very scary. As I said before, we didn't want to tell anything to the kids. We didn't tell the whole story, but we did say that something is going on. We need to be careful. They understand, they are smart kids. And another thing that is very important for me to bring up here is the strength of the community. I realize that I'm very happy to live in the village that I'm living in. We have few families that the parents, the husbands went to reserve. Some of them went to Gaza, some of them Hebron, like Elad, some of them up north. And the community immediately stood by us and helped us. And also, each one of us in the community took part of helping others in some way. So we have something we call Kitat Konenut, which is first unit, a civilian unit of people that are staying in the village, that's securing the village. In every kibbutzim and moshavim we have it, because we're kind of a new village and we were far from border, we didn't have like people that were taking care of. So in the first week, we just raised ourselves a Kitat Konenut, a civilian unit, and we started to guard our village. And so we all took part of it, even me. I was guarding the gate of the kibbutz, of the yeshuv sometimes. And another interesting thing that happened, that after a few days, we got soldiers, a unit of soldiers, a commando of soldiers that from a unit called Maglan that came up north after 7 days of fighting in the south. They were first force that got to the south, and then after finishing their mission over there, they got by to the north. And in one day, we found ourselves waking up in a military base, and we didn't have any facility for a military base, so we operated a whole laundry services, food services, shower services for the soldiers that came into the village. And it was something that we do. So every evening I had something like 3, 4, 5 soldiers that came to take a shower and to have a tea and to talk a little bit and to feel a little bit feeling of home. And this is something that I could do even though my husband is away. and I can do something and feel useful somehow to the community and to the whole situation.
David, please. Please tell us about, I would like to know two things, okay? First, the day of October 7th, you got the call. There were any fears, any hopes, any something that you felt proud to be called, how did you feel? And the second one is, you talked about your business. Is it changed somewhat because of the war?
Well, the unit I belong to has a mission of eliminating special forces of Hezbollah that infiltrate Israel in case of event or war.
Radiant force.
Yeah. So you can understand that if I get a call to gear up, it means something bad is happening.
Can you tell us a little bit about this enemy, about the Radwan force?
Yeah, Hezbollah understood that in order to win the next war with Israel, he has to move the war from the Lebanese territory to Israeli territory. Because until now, every war we had, every conflict we had with Lebanon was managed inside Lebanese territory. So when it started, they were busy in defending and attacking the Israeli forces inside Lebanon. So for us, it's comfortable. And for them, it's become like a guerrilla war and long and war. Hard. So they, with advice of Iran, they group few soldiers, few terrorists, not soldiers, and made the force, a new unit that called the Radwan. Radwan force at the beginning was a few hundred terrorists. Today, estimates talking about 5,000 to 6,000. They have training in Iran, and in the last years, they gathered combat experience in Syria, because Hezbollah sent them to do that in Syria. In Syria, they used to work with Spetsnaz, if you know it. Spetsnaz is a special unit of the military, Russian military, that work in Syria. They learned a lot of tactics from the Russians, from the Spetsnaz. Some of them you can see on YouTube. If you write Radwan Force on YouTube, you'll see what they learned, what they are able to do. Obviously, budget is coming from Syria, from Iran, so they have unlimited everything, and they are trained, as I said before, to come inside Israel from the border, infiltrate deep inside Israel, to Haifa, to refineries, military bases, hospitals, schools, and to catch hostages and hold hostages and kill, like they did on Hamas did on 7th of October, in order to keep the military busy in Israeli territory and prevent us from going to attack into Lebanon. So now you can understand better that if I get a call to gear up, and that means Radwan force is gearing up, is moving, not gearing up. I must say that we were lucky. Lucky because the military today understand that, and the Hamas say it also, that they didn't expect that success they had on the 7th of October. They thought maybe it will be a few hundred deaths or something like that. If they knew it will be that it will have that success, they stated it, that they will go full power. And meaningful power is activating also the north and the east border with Syria and the Palestinians within the Judea and Samaria. And in this case, I think the consequences could be devastating, terrible for the existence of Israel. I don't think that in the last decades we had existence question. The 7th of October could end very bad, very bad. And about my factory, well, the factory is situated in Matsuva. Matsuva is situated a mile and a half from the border of Lebanon. The employees are very good employees. They they arrive to work every day. When the alarm sounds, we don't have time to go to the shelter because we are less than 2 miles from the border. So in some cases, we hear the alarm, we hear the explosion in the same time. So they stay on the ground, or if they have time, they go outside, and then everything is moving from the shock wave of the explosions from the missiles. It takes some time to recollect everything and go back to work. You know, your people are shaking after this event, such events, and it happens a few times a day. In the last 4 days, the Hezbollah jumped from shooting 10 missiles all over the border. They jumped to 100, 120 missiles a day, and the ability is to shoot a few thousands a day for a long time.
Thank you. So now we're going to move to questions from the audience. In mind.
Questions?
Work there. So I have a lot of friends who constantly ask me questions, you know, what's going on in the world. And I keep in touch very closely with my friends and family. One of the questions, like, was interesting, and it's hard for me to ask my family this, but I was thinking maybe you could help me. You know, they talk about terrorists, okay? I'm not sure how to explain, you know, is it someone that throws rocks? Is it someone, you know, that kills somebody? Because they're like, you know, they're wanting so many exchanges, especially now, you know, in the hostage situation. And the last one, when the lone soldier, we gave like what, 1,000 some, and one of them was that Sinaloa who was talking about was supposed to have been the mastermind of this whole October 7th. So could you give me an explanation of like what you consider a terrorist that is in jail now, you know, for the most part, so that they don't think, oh, it's just these kids, you know. I think they don't get a sense of really who they are capturing and putting in jail as terrorists.
Okay, first of all, thank you for asking me. Second,
by the way, just to repeat the question, because we're on live stream, so and Omer or someone, could you repeat the question?
She asking me what the difference between the terrorist and the jail, right? And how do we know that they are terrorists, right? So I explained. First of all, in Israel, they are in the prisons before October 7. Almost 6,000 prisoners, security prisoners, okay? Terrorists that they captured in different times, different situation, not in October 7. So for us, we know how to deal with terrorists a long time ago. Now, after October 7, suddenly when you understand that they are the special unit, their name is Nukhba. It's a terrorist like Radwan force, but just in Gaza. And they get arrested when they get surrounded. They surrounded themselves to the Israeli soldiers in Gaza, and they were armed with weapons, and they try to kill soldiers. And when they understand the soldier will kill them or they will surrender, so they surrender. This is why we call them the Nukhba terrorists. Okay, this is exactly the difference. And we also built a new jail just for Nukhbas terrorists to separate them, because we know that in the future we will exchange on the hostages. We gave them the Nukhbas and they give us the hostages. This is maybe what's going on, but this is the plan now. Okay?
Wait, just to make maybe clear about it. So Nukhba terrorist was the one that participated the October 7th attack. And they got into kibbutzim and moshavim, got into the Nova Festival, killed, raped, tortured, beheaded, okay?
Thank you.
Hi, first of all, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us your personal experience. And it's really important for all of us to learn and see and hear this from you. Most of the Israelis who serve the army, the IDF, they know what is the IDF, what kind of steps that it takes to prevent social casualties. And it's hard to explain this to non-Israeli because all they see is the numbers and the manipulation through the media. I would appreciate if you guys could explain what the IDF, what kind of steps the IDF take to prevent social casualties. Thank you.
Well, Israel doesn't have Israeli military. IDF and Israel call it, choose one of the options. We don't have the privilege other countries has when they have to defend themselves. So we know we must do everything in order to not harm kids, women, innocent civilians, and the army is doing everything, sometimes even with paying the price with the life of soldiers. And I can give you an example. When soldiers arrive to or discover that there is a building with terrorists inside, that they do shoot missiles, shoot soldiers, and do something. The first thing you can think of would be the rational thing to do is to send the soldiers immediately to eliminate the problem. Immediately to prevent them from shooting missiles into Tel Aviv, into Nahariya, or depend on the area we're talking about. But no, this is not what we are doing. First of all, we have the Shabak. The Shabak is doing phone calls for all of the persons that live in that building and tell them evacuate the building. After this was done, there is something that's called Hakesh Bagag, knock the roof. The Air Force is shooting small bombs that does a lot of sound, and they shoot it on the roof. So people in the building knows it's coming, and all of the area. Only after it was done, and after the Air Force with drones checked that around the building there are no kids, no innocent civilians, only then the army is allowed to approach the target. only then. I don't think there is such a thing in any warfare history ever. Nothing like this was done.
So I would like to talk a little bit about what you just said. This is basic math, okay? So according to I'll say that as the emissary, according to the EU, okay, a justified war is one terrorist to 9 civilians. This is a justified war, okay, according to the EU. The US war against Iraq was 1 terrorist to 6, which they means less civilian casualty to terrorists. Now, when we're looking on the numbers, we're looking of 1 to 1.5, maybe 2. Okay, this is amazing. And we also need to remember, at 17 years old, holding AK-47 is a terrorist, but he considers on the child list, on the kids list.
So let me add a plug for a project we can call Missing Context. We sent someone out Friday. And I highly recommend 2 important conversations in the one we sent Friday. One with John Spencer, who's head of the Institute for the Study of Urban Warfare at Nitzan. And he had a 90-minute conversation with Sam Harris. Highly recommended. He basically confirmed everything they said, that the idea is going out of its way to avoid civilian casualties. And this is someone who not only studies urban warfare, he spent time with us. The other conversation, much shorter one, with another Israeli expert, Guy Boettcher. So please find that. If you can't find it, tell me. I'll send it to you. We have time for 2 more questions.
Thank you. So looking at many of us in the room have visited Israel. We've gone with tour guides, we've gone with shows, we've gone with other people, and we've traveled and we visited many of the cities and towns up at the map above. We see Rosh Hashanah and Nahariya and Akko and Haifa and Sez area right there along the coast. Can you give us a sense, because many of us have been there, we've been in the shops, we've had ice cream, we've been in restaurants, we've been into the stores and all that. What is, first of all, up along the Lebanese border, if we're in Nahariya or Akko today, what is life actually like if we were visiting the towns and the restaurants open and the shops, or we're down in Haifa? How's it different in Haifa than in there? What's the daily life actually like now, 7 months after October 7th? Can you give us a sense of that?
Thank you. It's a good question. Life in Nahariya until 4 days ago was normal, like almost every day. Okay, Nahariya wasn't evacuated. And when you walk in the streets of Nahariya, people eat ice cream, go to restaurants, take the cafe, life continues. Once in a while, they heard explosions, alarms, sirens, and move to shelters, out of shelters, and life continues. You take 3 kilometers north to Nahariya, you have the blocks on the roads, the army block on the roads. From there north, you need to have a reason in order to cross it. And from there to north, there is nothing. Roads are empty. Kibbutzim, moshavim, villages are empty. You can see the nature at its best. So this is the full empty, half full of the glass, because animals travel all over. The fields are like this, and from there to the north, there is nothing, doesn't exist anything. There is no life anymore. You know, we were talking yesterday about Rosh Hanikra, the white cliffs of Rosh Hanikra on the water. You can't even come close to that area. It's all military area.
I would like to say just 2 examples, okay? Just what David said. So which one of you who were in our partnership maybe went to Betzet, to Moshav Betzet, to Idan Ishach farm? Idan, she has her own business of dried fruit. And a lot of people that are coming to our region, to our partnership, having a workshop over there and buying her good things. Everything is organic and no sugar and great. And she was evacuated. Betzet is one of the Moshavim that evacuated. She kept coming and working the fields and working at her business. And one Thursday, a Katyusha bomb fell in her business, in her store. She got one of her horses injured, and she had a bananas field which was ruined, and her business is ruined. So this is an example, and it was they were really lucky because they were not there when it happened, because they are coming and going to run the business somehow. So this is an example, you ask. So it's kind of weird because we hear sirens, we do what we need to do, and then life is like continuing. Okay, that's just weird, I think.
Last question.
Hi, thank you for being here. Geopolitically, there is so much ambiguity and discord in terms of Israel's end game in this situation. And I'm very curious because you're just such a wonderful cross-section of Israeli society, mother, fathers, military, businessmen, etc. What do you as individuals see as the end game for Israel in this situation?
You don't want me to repeat?
No, I understood. I understood the question. Well, first of all, we are Jews. We have different opinions. All of us. I think here we have now 70 people, we have 70 opinions. Very
100 actually.
and very different from one from each other. Yesterday evening, I met a lot of new friends here, and I told them about a book, one of the books I read, Binyamin Zev Herzl, Theodor Herzl, if you know. He wrote a book more than 100 years ago. One of his books is a Jewish State. I recommend all of you to read it. It's a short book. It was written when there was no Jewish state. It was written with a lot of love and passion to the idea of having a Jewish state. And he was trying to explain and give reasons why to do it, why we need it, why we need to unite and stop fighting in between us what is right and what is wrong, if it's right to have a Jewish state or not. And this was written more than 100 years ago. So I think that when looking on politics, nothing changed. We still have opinions. We will continue to have opinions different from each other. Here we are sitting, three of us, and we don't share the same political opinion, but we share the same objective, to live free in our country. The Jewish people was always and will always be a people that is seeking for peace. We don't have imperial aspirations. I hope it answered your question.
I want to say thank you first of all, for our panelists. Second of all, we couldn't let you guys leave us without any taste of South Bend. Pun intention. Not intended. Yeah.
I want to take the last seconds on behalf of my friends and me. For me, it's the first time coming here to Jewish communities. I've been in the United States twice in the past, but it's the first time I meet our brothers behind the sea. And I must say that I never thought it was I never thought about it. But today, after this visit, I understand how important this brotherhood is for all of us. All of us, I mean, all of us as the Jewish people and all of us as Israeli citizens. And on behalf of three of us and all of the Israeli people that are not here, couldn't come, I want to thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for standing with us. Thank you for the support, for the interest, for asking questions. And I hope that one day and soon as possible, we can see you all visiting us in Israel. So,